that one trainer.
And we are live. Well, I'm going to cut off Stone Guy for a change, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Sorry for the late start, but
Doesn't show
hey,
live on my screen.
Trust me, it says live on my end.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I had to watch the end of the Wisconsin Badgers Oregon Ducks game because it was a really, really good game, and I'm a Wisconsin fan, so we're going to be talking about gun storage here tonight, and we're going to do introductions here. We got gun websites.
Howdy.
We got Huck here.
Yo.
We got Edge.
Hey, I'm hosting this bad boy.
Yeah, just right. We got Dano.
If you want to know what Northern Illinois looks like in March, come check out my channel.
We got Nathan.
Mecca like a high, mecca hiney ho, everybody.
Hey, Johnny.
Oh, I got that song in my head.
Hey, Johnny.
We got Scotty here.
Hey, I'm trying to unload a 777-200, 15 million firm. If anybody wants to offer me any money,
What the fuck is that?
that missing plane.
Is that the name of the tank top that you're wearing?
And then we got Stone Guy.
What's happening?
And of course me. So G-Web's typed in a whole bunch of questions here, but my first one really, and we'll start this off pretty easily, is do you guys use a safe for home storage? A safe or a cabinet, something you can lock your guns up in.
Oh God, yes.
Yes.
So we'll be doing
do.
this with just a quick left to right here. So
I plead the fifth.
all right, we'll start with G-Webs again.
I do.
All right, Huck,
Yes.
Edge.
You can't prove it.
Jesus Christ, whose chat is this?
Quarks.
Mine. You don't like that question? Not everybody's gonna have the same answer.
I'm talking about the list that G-Web's put up for you.
I know he's got it all worked out.
Yeah, I
guess
appreciate it, man.
He's working hard for it.
I
But
gotta get G-Webs in my chat when he's Look at that.
I know, right?
I should let G-Webs run it. I mean, really, that'd be a lot easier.
I guess he just feels sorry for you. You're a little handicapped.
He's from Oregon.
All right, we're at Dano.
No.
Nathan,
Yes.
Scotty,
Absolutely.
Stone Guy,
Yes, sir.
and I'm with the rest of the majority. Yes, I do.
You're
Yeah,
fired.
but you gotta let Dano explain that because it's not like he doesn't want
Yeah,
to.
that's exactly right. That's exactly what I was going to do. Dano, do you mind explaining why you don't have a safe?
Well, there's actually numerous reasons. One is I have no small children. For the vast majority of the year, I do live alone.
You live in Whiteyville.
No, actually, I don't.
That's the best way.
And the other issue is I do not own the place where I currently reside, which has to do with the size of what I would want in a safe. I would not be interested in basically a file cabinet.
Okay. Now, again, you guys all know I live alone.
Oh, there is
No
one more
shocker
reason.
there.
There is
But
one
I still take, okay, go ahead.
I can sneak back in, and that is that my insurance in regards to the value of my firearms will cover anything that is stolen that I have currently. So if it's all broken in and stolen out, financially I will be compensated. Now, obviously, there's a lot of other downsides to it, but at least that one is covered through another means.
Okay, makes sense. As I would say, I live alone. I'm not worried so much about, children, because I don't have anybody, young children come over, but friends do come over every once in a while, and a couple of them are idiots, so better safe than sorry that way. So that's the question that Gio has put in there is leading into that question, so thank you for putting it in there. Why do we lock them up? And this time we'll start off with Stone Guy.
I like because I have kids. That's the primary reason to keep them away from my kids. Secondary is obviously burglary. The safe I have, they're not just gonna pick it up and walk off with it. So I feel somewhat secure if someone did break into the house, they wouldn't get my guns. So that's it.
Well, it definitely provides a barrier to them getting your guns. All right, Scotty.
Same reason as Stone Guy, exactly. I got 3 kids. Can't let them, have free access. I mean, with one caveat, my everyday carry, I don't tell my kids this. The barrel I keep in my truck. The barrel and slide I keep in my truck. And then I just bring the actual frame with the serial number inside, disassembled, and keep the magazine in another room, so that it's in 3 different pieces, and then you can figure out how the hell to put it together and find my keys. So that's just.
Wait, Scotty, do you have a firearm that's ready to go for home protection?
Not downstairs, upstairs, yes. Downstairs, I have an inoperable firearm.
So you don't carry a firearm with you all the time?
Not all the time, just when I'm out. I work downtown Indy, and basically that's like Beirut now. So, yeah.
And not to get off
A little
subject,
Beirut here. We had a nice little fun incident last Monday.
Yeah, not to get off subject too much, but while it's fresh in my mind, I want to go ahead and put this out for everybody. I'm a huge proponent of carrying a gun everywhere and at all times, especially in your home. I think that's a big false sense of security just because you're in your house. I've seen multiple victims that get bum rushed, so to speak, for lack of a better term.
I agree.
Where someone could kick your door in a fraction of a second, and it doesn't do you any good to have your gun upstairs. So even when I'm in gym shorts, I have a little pocket pistol, in my gym shorts, or if I don't have my main carry gun.
Oh, I agree. And, my kids are 3, 4, and 7, so, having a gun on me at all times, you know how kids are always reaching up and grabbing at you, and I'm just not okay with that, because, my kids, I believe they're deaf. They can't hear a word I say. I really do think they are.
All you gotta start off every conversation with is an Xbox.
Can you hear me?
So you gotta start every conversation. You want Xbox in the trash? And they're like, what?
They don't even play that. Here you go.
I'm going to have to be on the
of kids playing with toys.
I'm going to be on the side of Scotty right here, and I have firearms. I can get it quickly, but I don't keep a firearm on my person in the house. When I was single and before I had children, I used to keep just pistols loaded in drawers around the house. But as soon as I had kids, I had to put everything up, and I've one home defense gun, and everything else is in my safe. And the point is their safety is so much more important than the possibility of someone kicking in my door. So, I mean, if I look at it, the kid having an accident or somebody kicking in my door, the kid having an accident is exponentially higher.
Well, that's why I say keep it on your person. I mean, they're not going to get at a gun that's in your pocket.
Yeah, but I mean, wearing a holster, sitting around my house, laying in my bed, having to go out and do yard. I mean, I can't do that.
It only takes once.
What I've done is
too much chance of an accident, in my opinion.
My wife's grandfather, gave me an old shotgun, and the firing pin is rusted shut. That's my downstairs, hey, get the fuck out of my house if I point this at you gun. Okay? It has no chance of going off. Okay? The firing pin will not move. Okay? That's one of those projects that's going to be down the line of fixing it. But it's an inoperable firearm. So if someone breaks in, front door, I have a 12-gauge shotgun that looks to be operative from the outside, but I know it will not fire. I've tried. The firing pin will not move.
I mean, I hear that, and that sounds sound, but what happens if somebody calls your bluff, man, and you're like, what's
If
up?
somebody calls my bluff, then the wife takes over from there with a 357 next to the bed.
So there's a 357 next to the bed?
Safe.
Ah.
Quick access safe.
Okay, let's start getting back to the questions. We can get into the fine details through the questions, I think.
Well, you already answered it, Nathan, when you said, because of the kids.
Yeah,
and we can skip Dano because he says he doesn't lock them up, so he's passed. So we're at Edge.
I keep them up. Pretty much everything that Stone Guy said, covered it. And also because when you're away, you want some peace of mind that your guns aren't going to be somebody's going to loot you and take your guns, especially when you have a couple of ones that can't be replaced, or at least one that can't be replaced. And but I recently had my house broken into a couple months back, 3 or 4 months back, and it was really scary. It's really pissed me off. The only thing I was thinking about more than anything was the guns. Did they get into them? The other stuff can be replaced for the most part, and the guns can too. But they didn't, and why? Because I have an alarm system. That scared the shit out of them as they kicked in my door.
Mm-hmm. And that actually brings up an important point here: is our first line of defense as homeowners and those that live at home is an alarm system. So if you think about that, that's your first line of defense. Your gun safe is actually your second line of defense after that.
They stole a TV off the wall, 52-inch TV. It was already kind of beat up, but they didn't get anything else. There was a laptop sitting on my damn dining room table as they walked in. They didn't even get that because they were just dead set on the usual. Some crackheads, just fucking get the DVD player, the Wii, and the TV. But luckily they didn't have time to go upstairs and get into the shit.
Right, because they can pawn a TV. They have to actually wipe the computer to get rid of it.
Yeah, a lot of criminals nowadays seriously are leaving electronics behind. And when I say electronics, I mean computers and iPads and iPods and iPhones and that kind of shit, because you can ping those and track them. And I can't tell you how many times we've caught people with stolen goods because they fucking powered up an iPhone or an iPod, and you can immediately, it sends a signal where that phone was powered up at. So starting to get smart enough to not leave all that shit behind and only take stuff that can't be traced.
Real quick, I had a buddy who was at a bar that's right down the road from me, and he frequents that bar, and they got held up. And they was like in the dumbasses, purses, wallets and watches and cell phones. So they put them all in a bag, robbed the bar. And it's right outside of in a decent part of town too, and they took everything. And as the cops got there, he told the cop, "Hey, do you mind if I go home? I need to go to my computer right now. And I can find my phone, and I can locate my phone." And he did. He called the police, told exactly where it's at, and within an hour and a half of the incident, they were there at the people's house that robbed the place. And they caught 2 of the people that robbed that bar, and because they left the stupid phone on.
All right, now we're up to Huck.
Sorry, what was the question?
Why do you lock them up?
Because we have teenagers in the house, and I don't know who they're bringing over at all times. I keep as much of an eye as I can on them, but I'm out in my workshop most of the day, so the most I can do is check when I hear people or dogs barking or something. It's the smart thing to do. I mean, there's no reason to just leave them out. I'd rather somebody have to bring in a sledgehammer or a saw to get my guns out of the house.
Good. G-Webs?
I won't rehash everything everybody else said, but I like that Huck brought up something new, because, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a kid, I didn't do nothing bad. My friends always did all the bad stuff, and that's what I'd be more worried about with kids. I think my kids would be fine. It's those kids that they bring over who don't realize, they go to the bathroom, they go in the wrong room, start to be a dick or a kid, and rummage around through drawers, and all of a sudden they find a gun next to the bed. That's what I'd be more worried about, a kid that isn't trained. But we also, nobody brought up flood, fire. There's, at least here in Arizona, we got more of a chance of flood than burglary. So safe can protect against those kind of factors as well, and then lowering insurance rates. can be an issue as well.
You brought up some very important thing here. My main thing is keep idiots out of my gun. So we got a couple friends that are stupid. And just act immaturely at times. It's best to keep them away from that stuff for me. But yeah, floods. I'm not so worried about fires. Normally, they're going to protect you against a small fire in your house. But even the best safes are going to fail if your whole house goes up. So that's not a huge issue.
Am I the last one? Are you the last one then?
Yeah, I'm the last one. So if you want to discuss this some more, let's open this up.
Follow up to it. How many guys use it? How many guys that are married use the safe so that you don't have to actually give your wife a total on what you got in there?
Oh,
yes, sir.
Yeah, she has no idea. It's like, well, what's that? That's the gun.
I keep all sorts of
split
shit.
everything.
I mean, I think everybody probably keeps all sorts of stuff in the safe that they don't want their wives to know about.
I just keep all my firearms in the safe because
I'm one of those rare people
Oh,
that's
whatever.
totally honest.
You're
Like,
one of
The
those-
gun she knows about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
You
saying?
put me on video to
Oh,
what?
it's his porno stash. So
Oh yeah, got to keep your girly magazines and your porno CDs in there, and
Keys to the basement.
hey,
Really?
hold on. Nobody
Really?
tells Stone Guy about the power of the internet that he's still getting paper magazines.
I like the storage.
that's
Some
just-
guy just figured out how to use a computer
That's
yesterday.
just
So
prepping. All you guys are going to be upset when there's an EMP. Nobody
I
has
keep-
any
That's
computer
right.
porn anymore.
Speaking of other things, I keep a razor sharp knife in my thing open or with a blade, not in a sheath.
that's a
and
good.
speaking
that's
of
a
a
good
computer,
thing. Other stuff that you keep in your gun safe that isn't gun related.
speaking
Keep a
of computer,
flashlight in there, so if I have to get in there
yeah.
when it's locked up, or I'm not expect to, I got a flashlight. Or if I just want to see something in
There's
the
a
back,
power outage.
oh yeah, definitely keep flashlights in the
I
safe.
just
and
when
then
Huck
copies
said
of
that
things like all the important stuff, documents and whatnot, can fit in there.
when Huck said that, I got the image of the Road Warrior when he's reaching under the car and he's deactivating the trigger switch and there's a machete.
That's a subject I was looking forward to, but I think I'm going to miss is the crazy mounts and hidden guns and stuff.
Oh, G-Webs, real quick.
Oh, you didn't get out of it; it just got delayed.
Speaking of computer literacy, I finally printed out the targets from gun channels.
They ended up little
Right on.
thumbnails.
No, they were regular, full size page, but that target is only 4.5 inches in circumference or diameter, so it's a pretty small little target.
Exactly. Definitely made for 9mm shooters because like 1 or 240s take the whole thing out.
We need like I said earlier, we need Ralph to put it in PDF format, and so it's a common size for everyone.
No,
Yeah.
it is. It's just it's a regular full size page when you print it, but the actual target area is only 4 3/4 inches. So it's
And
not.
I just want to bring this up just in case anybody out there is watching and doesn't know. Gunchannels.com has got a
Ralph
shooting
told me it
challenge
was more
going
like
on.
6.
Nah,
So
well,
it's really cool. If you're not a member, go join. It's $1 a month, so then you can enter this really cool shooting contest.
And for those of us that are members and don't know how to find the target, it's located where exactly?
in gun channels.
It's on the main page. You got to go a
Main
couple of
page.
pages back off the current stuff.
Yeah.
Posted a while back. I don't know. I think it's also in the groups called Shooting Challenge or something.
Yeah, it's also in that group. I was going to bring that up.
Hey, Stone Guy, if you want PDFs, talk to me, brother. I can get
I don't
you.
even know what the fuck a PDF is.
Yeah, that was obviously Nate because Stone Guy's never going to say that.
Yeah, sorry, that was me saying it.
Yeah, what is a PDF?
It's an Adobe
It's a type
Acrobat
of
file.
document that doesn't allow you to change the size as easily, so you have a more consistent print out of multiple types of equipment.
Isn't it something like paper
If I wanted
document
to
file or
send-
something like that?
Digital format, if I remember correctly.
Like if I wanted to
format?
send someone a copy of a document that was important, it would probably be in a PDF format.
And you didn't want them to alter the document. You wanted them to get the
Right.
same document without alterations.
You want to
Yeah.
basically have them open it, click it, print it, and have it be exactly like you sent it to them.
If you email something to somebody, one of the most acceptable formats is .pdf.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And before we now totally disrail this chat, I know I'm a little off topic here, but it's gun related. We're talking about what else do you keep in your safe, and for me, and I just want to answer this, I keep stuff that isn't, stuff that I'd keep in a safe deposit box, but stuff I want still locked up. And I'm not going to say exactly what it is, but it's not as disgusting as Stone Guy's sticky porn mags. But
First condom?
There's nothing disgusting about that. I've got some personally signed.
Yeah, if you got some glass stuff you don't want to talk about, it's ornate, of course, it's okay.
like pictures, old pictures that you cannot be replaced and stuff like that, But stuff that's not important enough to justify going up in size and another,
Well, like say you're going on vacation. It's like, okay, my wife has jewelry. She wants me to take it to put it in the safe deposit box. Well, it's a lot easier to stick it in the gun safe, and other things like that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Emergency cash, maybe little things like that might be important in an emergency. And what G was saying earlier about fire, my gun safe is actually out in my garage. If my house catches fire, I would hope that the fire department was able to come and put the fire out before it went from the house and engulfed the garage. You know what I'm saying?
But I've seen what you've done in your garage. Your
location
garage
and
is going to go up first. Your garage is definitely.
Yeah,
going
my
up
garage
first.
is my garage is probably hosed, but there's a chance.
No, you're going to start your garage on fire. That's what I'm saying. Shooting all those hot sparks in your garage.
I would say if my garage were going to catch on fire, it probably would have done it by now, considering I've spent a week of throwing hot sparks in every corner of it.
You're just drying up the timber. You're just prepping it.
I'll keep my tax return, in there so she can't see it.
All right.
There's something else, though. So just to mention that Fort Knox has started a thing this year, maybe last year, whenever recently, where they put a hard drive in the safe, because a lot of times people have electric in there anyway for a heater or lights or something. So you have a hard drive in there that's on wireless, Wi-Fi or whatever, and then that way you can set it up to be a backup. So just like people have cloud drives, it's like a safe drive. You put your backup in there, and it's fireproof and theft-proof, and just like having another backup drive.
Can I interject something related to that in safes? I would suggest everyone take their cameras and get just a cheap SD card if your camera runs off that. Go and take your camcorder and film all your firearms in your safe, and then go put that on an off-site location only you know about. And if your house ever does burn down, you can do it to your whole house too. But especially if you're safe and your house burns down, with that video you can go through with your insurance people and say, this is the stuff I had.
I tried to do that, but I could only buy 16 gigabyte cards.
You have a lot more guns than the average person.
Something that
Talking about, dude, I got a 32 gigabyte SD card I got the other day.
I'll offer the service. If you want to take a video of all the guns in your safe and then send them to me, I'll store them for you. And then on a side note, I'm going to be doing a new series on what people keep in their gun safes.
What I was going to suggest is something that is free is simply get all the serial numbers and descriptions of your guns, and if you have cloud-based email, send yourself an email with all that information.
Yeah, or there's a nice app called Dropbox. It's free to start up with. They give you X amount of free space, and as you go through, you can buy more space, obviously, and you can go to their little. They have like options there that you can go to, and you can actually get free space by answering some of their surveys or some of the criteria that they have, and they give you more space depending on. And if you draw people to their website, they also throw you a little more space, and it's free to start off with.
Yeah, you're plugging it because you're trying to get more space. I see that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how is that different?
I would hold on.
I would definitely recommend that you have it uploaded in multiple spots, because you never know when one of those companies is going to have a server crash or lose everything.
Well, the reason, hold on, I'm going to disagree with just Dano there, because I don't believe that writing down your guns and serial numbers in written form is as good as a video, simply because, like when the insurance adjuster went to Mr. Ron White and said, Mr. White, I don't believe Rolex makes a car stereo. What proof do you have if you just write stuff down?
Well, Since I called my insurance company before I did this, and I verified what they would need in case of a claim, which everyone should do, since not all insurance companies are.
And they never lie.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
let them finish.
Yeah, you should absolutely check with your insurer as far as what do they want and need in case of a claim, whether it's theft, fire, or something else, or flood.
Well, because honestly, you're there. If you, I think what Dan is getting at is what at least what I'm assuming their insurance thing is if you're paying for to put a number on it, let's say $5,000 worth of gun insurance, they assume that you have $5,000 worth of guns. I mean,
right.
The worst you're going to do is have $10,000 worth of guns and then be hurting yourself. But if you only have $3,000 worth of gun and you insure it for $5,000, you're still paying the premium on $5,000. So, I don't think they're out anything.
I'm going to say this on Nathan's point. We got a great service right now. It's called YouTube. You can upload your video to YouTube, make it private.
Right. But you
hold on. That brings up another point I was going to make, Cork, is the reason I said an SD card and then keep it off-site, like in a safe deposit box or something, is because that keeps the information private from anyone, NSA, who can get into your stuff.
The reason I mentioned Dropbox, I was really trying to plug it, but the reason I brought it up is because Dropbox, you can do it off your phone, Android or iPhone, off your tablets. It's very, it crosses a bunch of different technologies, and it all goes to the same place. Now, some people know, like, I don't have any control over it, where it's stored, and some people are a little skittish about it, I understand, but it's free.
But how many people out there don't want to ever risk the government knowing how many and what type of firearms they have?
Anything that you transmit over the internet, any email, whatever, can be seen or flashed. We obviously know that. So it's an email, any document you're sending to anybody in your insurance company, those serial numbers technically can be read by the government.
But
whatever you keep on that
if an SD card that goes from your camera into a box does not get transmitted over the internet, is my point.
Yeah, but then you also have it's a lot more difficult to secure a physical item from either theft, loss, fire, flood. Now you have all those
corruption in the SD card. The file goes bad, card goes bad.
Yep.
Okay, how about this? This is what I do.
That happened a few times. It's super annoying.
Now I'm really, really cheap. So what I do is I do the exact same thing, but I take that CD or actually a DVD with all the family pictures and everything, and a gun inventory and pictures. If I had guns, which of course the NSA knows I do not, one DVD goes to my place of work, one DVD goes to my wife's place of work. Because in case of a fire, it's very unlikely that my home, my work, and my wife's work would all have a fire at the same time.
And the chance that my house will burn down and my bank with the safe deposit box room will burn down is not likely to happen at the same time either.
No, a safe deposit box.
What if that SD card at your bank goes bad?
Well, make the file on an SD card and then take the file and put it onto a writable CD and put both in the safe deposit box. Or put one in the safe deposit box and take the other one over to your parents' house.
Yeah, you got to remember, one is none.
Okay, so we've all decided we're going to do a video. We're going to put it on 2 forms of media in 2 separate off-site locations.
And then it's probably a good idea to figure out a date like your birthday or Christmas or sometime to do that. Keep updating it so that because everybody buys guns or sells guns or whatever, so that it's
daylight savings time, just like New Year's. Well, when are you supposed to change? Daylight savings time is supposed to change a battery in your smoke detector. I got a 10-year battery in my smoke detector, so I don't worry about it. That's just throw the smoke detector away and get a new one. So
Stone Guy does not have his inventory on a floppy disk because that would require Stone Guy to have figured out how to use a floppy disk 10 years ago when they existed.
Well, even 10 years ago,
Rolodex.
We all know he's using the CD tray as a couple.
They haven't had the floppies since the 80s.
Hey, when people start saying floppy disk around Stone Guy, Stone Guy starts making fun of people for not being able to get it up.
Now, here's another question.
I do take pictures of mine.
We'll get it back on topic. I think we're going to have a lot more questions with
You
this
say you
one.
don't, or you do?
I do. I take pictures and.
I like to suggest, if you have a table that's strong enough to try to put them all on one table and take a picture of them together, because that's the same kind of concept that, I can prove I have them all because there they are all together. And then if you put a newspaper there, you can, kind of ransom them to yourself.
I don't get these back until I run 1 mile.
Shit, you're never getting any
No,
guns
that's
back.
crazy.
I know.
It has to be
He's back
realistic.
until you go shoot each one of them or something cool like that.
Yeah. But here it is. The next question I have for you guys. Do you have an alternate safe, like one in your bedroom that you can keep your gun in at night, or?
I have more safes than some people have guns, I bet.
Well, there you go, Geobs. You know.
Well, because I started when I was a kid with one of those lockers, like a snap-on type of thing, and then I don't throw them away when I get new ones, so I just put other things in them.
Edge.
Well,
Do you have like another safe in your house that's, specifically just like a 1-gun or 2-gun safe where you can just quickly and easily get to your firearm just in case you need it for like a home invasion or?
it's called my hand. No, I don't have one.
Well, I know Daniel doesn't have any safes, so you can skip Daniel here.
A question. Have you gotten through everybody?
No, we're at Nathan right now.
Oh, okay. Well,
Was that the question?
no. But but quick, if you look on the side for when
I see it, and I'll ask that next. That's the question I was bringing up next. So
I do not have. I only have the one big gun safe. I don't have a small spare one.
right, and the reason I brought this question up is because Scotty said he had something. Scotty.
It's for my wife.
Which is like a bedside safe.
What's that?
Like a bedside safe?
Yeah, hit the finger and she's been.
It's like it's a Barska biometric handgun
That's what he
safe.
said.
Mm-hmm.
What our plan is if someone gets upstairs, I bum rush her and take the hits while she finishes it off. That's assuming the door.
Stone guy?
I have one big gun safe, and then I've got one of those little smaller fire safes. It's only, like the little 100-pound, probably 3 feet by 3 feet safes.
Yeah. Well, the reason I brought this question up is some of you have kids and you carry all the time, so it means you have to either lock your bedroom door at night, which I'm sure a Stone guy does.
Nah, now honestly, I mean, when we go to bed at night, my carry gun comes off of me and goes right onto the nightstand, and I do not lock it up. I don't take it out or unlock it because my kids aren't going to come in the room in the middle of the night play with a gun.
You never know.
Nah, they know better.
No, I personally don't do it because very funny there. Whatever your name is. I'm sorry, I was reading the term. I personally don't because I don't have to worry about kids. I take my gun off at night and set it next to me on the nightstand. But I wanted to ask that question really quick because Scotty brought it up that he does have that bedside safe, which I think is a great idea, especially if you have kids and you can easily access, especially those that are worried about safety at the home and safety keeping it away from kids, and be able to have a gun right next to you. But the question that Daniel brought up, which I was going to bring up a little bit later, but I'll ask it now. It's a great question. I have nothing there. Do you lock up your ammo as well?
No.
And I'll start off with Stone Guy.
Well, not in the safe. I keep all my ammo in containers, though. I have probably 12 ammo cans. I do have one big, like a Pelican case that's got all the good premium carry ammo in, and I've got a little padlock on that. But other
That's
than
locking
that,
up your ammo.
yeah, I guess so. But other than that, because that thing probably weighs 200 pounds. So there again, if someone breaks in, they're not going to be carrying because it's upstairs. So I doubt they'd be. If they had two people maybe, but
They may think it's
They're
filled
not-
with gold.
They're not going to pick it up and carry it out very easily, so I just put a lock on it to keep them from taking the contents out. But other than that, all my ammo's and just ammo cans, and that's mostly just for potential, humidity.
Safer storage.
Yeah, just
in
safer,
environments.
drier storage. Yeah.
By the way, I'm going to bring this up. The little silica pouches that you can put in those ammo cans are great.
Yep. Yeah.
You know,
Midway.
if you
Check
get an
out.
airtight ammo can. Put
No,
a,
look, no,
gotta
check
keep
this
it
out.
moist,
Check this out. If you look up YouTube, you can make your own with coffee filters, and you can buy stuff and make your own. If you want to get real, do it yourself kind of guy, there's a lot of videos on YouTube you can actually check out. You can make your own, and they're good stuff.
You can make your own, or if you buy something and it has little pouches in it, save those little pouches and just throw a few in your ammo can. All right, Scotty, do you lock up your ammo?
No, I do not. In fact, if you look right here, you will see 243 that was case sized by a 3-year-old. I don't let them help me when I'm priming. The 7-year-old actually put a couple bullets in, but a bullet's a bullet.
I dare you to drop a match in the gunpowder.
Right here?
Yeah.
If I was a smoker, I'd have a match, but no.
You didn't catch it. I didn't say a lit match. I just said a match.
Oh, that's a whole different story now.
How clever of you!
My kids.
Hey, I wanted to see how people think. If they actually see,
I came for a gun chat, and I got all kinds of cool word trickery.
Yep. Nathan, you're up.
Didn't say it was a flavor. Just
Sorry about that. I was making a list of things I need to pick up at Cabela's tomorrow.
You're reading, what you're doing.
No, I was getting a piece of information off an email because I got to get when I go to Cabela's and I don't have.
How much does she charge?
Anyway, when I go to Cabela's and I need reloading data on a bullet I don't have a reloading manual for, they have all their manuals out and you just write down what you need. It's really great. But anyway, I do not keep most of my ammo locked up, and none of my reloading components are locked up. So basically, I keep the firearms all locked up, and I have some boxes of ammunition I threw in the gun safe just because it was a convenient place to store it. But other than that, all my other ammo is just strewn about the house, and I got probably 20 pounds of gunpowder, mostly in ammo cans in a closet, and some is out in the open, and I've got primers and ammo cans. Basically, I'll leave the bullets out, and some of the gunpowder out. I try to put everything in ammo cans, but I run out of space sometimes.
Hey, don't put the primers in ammo cans. You should keep those out, so that if in the unlikely event that they do explode spontaneously or just because of heat, that they explode with the most volume possible. If you put them in a metal ammo can, that's going to hold it in like a pressure cooker, like the Boston bombs.
But it'll also eliminate almost every reason that they would have to go up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll keep that in mind. Maybe I should just make sure I have all the primers in one ammo can and away from, because right now I got primers and ammo cans with pounds of gunpowder, so that's a great combination, right?
No, sir.
Yeah, that I should split those up now that you mention it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a pressure cooker bomb.
Yeah. Primers and powder should go in different areas. You're right. I didn't think of that.
If you could, can you drill a hole in the ammo can so that it's not airtight? That would be great.
Or you can just leave it.
What is that?
Don't clinch it down.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, Dano, do you lock up your ammo?
Yes, I do. As a matter of fact, I have a kind of a medium-sized steel case that I have, and that's at least in my weird mind, my way of keeping myself from getting shot with one of my own guns. The guns that I have when I'm not here don't have any ammo in them. The ammo's all in a locked container. So.
All right, Edge. What about you?
All my ammo I keep in ammo cans, military grade 50 caliber ammo cans, and then they're locked up behind the closet door with the key. I did want to do a thing where the ammo cans you can mod them to actually do a lock on them. You can do that if you look it up. You can actually you can mod them to where you can actually put a real lock on them.
Yep, your daughter's asking for you. And G-Webs.
I think that there's a kid getting yelled at in Texas right now.
Yep.
I lock up all my ammo.
Very
Ta-da.
good. Now with me, it's a mix. I keep my shotgun ammo in ammo cans. So I don't consider that locked up. They're just stored in ammo cans. But I do keep my pistol and 22 locked up in smaller. I mean, somebody wanted to steal it, they can break the lock later. But I do keep them locked up. It just keeps an idiot that comes over out of them.
You seem to have a lot of friends as idiots.
Idiots just walking
I
around
have
the
a
place.
couple friends that I call idiots because, well, they don't always think before they act.
They don't sound
that happens.
right into your kitchen, let alone deeper into the house.
Hey, it happens,
Well, I mean, I don't
you
know
know-
if it's beyond the range of possibilities for people, but maybe you're away from an extended distance from your house. You need to have somebody go over to check a pet, or you're
Yep.
away and somebody needs to check a leaky water coming out from underneath the door. I mean, there's those situations that don't happen often, but can happen occasionally where you have an in-law or a friend or whoever, neighbor, go check on something who isn't a close friend, neighbor, relative, whatever. And I'd rather have all the stuff tidy and not laying out than, out of sight, out of mind. It just doesn't come up if it's not anywhere they're ever going to find it.
Yeah, I use these portable cases. They're kind of like Pelican cases, but just different manufacturer that just throw, a padlock through. So, I mean, it works. It keeps them locked. It just gives me a little bit more peace of mind than anything else, But now I forgot the next question I was going to ask. There's a whole list of them here, and there's a specific one that sprung into.
Since we're going off the safes, it sounds like, what about the hidden type of contraptions?
Oh.
There's all these mirrors and
Nope,
shelves. And
That was the next one. Thank you for bringing it up. We're not going off of safes. We got one more thing. Because, when we're driving in a car, we can't always take our gun into a certain business, federal area, police station if you have to go there to pay a parking ticket or something. Or, whatever the case may be. Do you keep a lockbox or a little mini safe in your car to store your gun in? Because I know Yankee does. So we'll start with G-Webs.
I do. And in Arizona, there's the laws that if the public building, like a courthouse or whatever, is going to not let us bring in guns, they have to give us locked storage. So consider prompting your state to do that, because they hate it. Because then what and it's kind of the reason that they did that. The group that pushed that. The reason they pushed it in the first place is to basically they gave a public building a dilemma. They either had to pay to put in these lockers, or just not enforce that stupid law. And a lot of them, and actually they were forced to not. They couldn't enforce the law if they weren't going to fork over the money to buy the lockers. So sometimes, even if they didn't like the fact that they had to not enforce the law, they can't enforce the law. So anyway, if you're able to, urge your local pro-gun places to push for stuff like that, and eventually we won't have to take them off when we go to those kind of places.
Yeah, speaking just to what G-Webs just said, I really would love that to be here in Texas, because every time I get jury duty, they have free parking that a bus picks you up at that's like in the middle of a place that looks like the zombie apocalypse happened there. And
And
I
that's where
go
you have to
down
leave your gun then.
Yeah, I pay $10 for. Well, I don't want to be there without a gun on me either, waiting for the bus. So I go down and pay $10 to park across from the courthouse, where, there's cops all the time walking around outside. But I mean, it just sucks that I call the courthouse. I'm like, "Do you have a locker or way to put these up?" And they're like, "No, can't bring it."
Damn, Ed, you back yet? I'm not seeing his sausage fingers. Oh, he is back.
Hey, what's up?
Did you hear the question that I asked?
No, I didn't. Repeat it, please.
Do you keep like a lockbox or a storage spot in your car for your firearm? You can't bring it into a certain place?
Not yet. When I buy a truck again, I probably will. But in the car, I plan to keep the car. But when I get a truck, I'll definitely do something about that. But currently, no.
All right, I want to bring something up here. There are little safes you can buy that can bolt in or cable into a place and like slide underneath your seat or
Yeah, they're as small as your
situations like
little
that.
scuba diving purse you bought.
Right. Something to store your gun like that. I'll go into that a little bit more. Dano.
This is not a purse, first of all.
And some of those things, sometimes if you have a vehicle with power seats, they're really low to the floorboard, and you can't actually get those in. Sometimes. So check before you buy. Get the tape measure out.
And we got Bad Company 1911, so he'll get a whole bunch of questions at once when we get to him, which will be right after me when I go. But we're up to Dano right now.
No, but the reason that I don't is I prefer what I'll call a concealed versus, gee, what's that box doing in there? As far as a philosophy. I realize...
Oh, no, wait, hold on. I don't know. We're all picturing different things. I'm picturing the kind of thing Cork's talking about, where it's like a little metal box that it's like a clamshell. You lock it. I've done videos on them. It's what I travel with in a plane, too. So it's not something that's huge that's like... Well, it's definitely not in sight, but it's not even bolted to your vehicle, really.
Oh, yeah, they'll fit like one
so you can
gun
discreetly
in there.
just unholster, put it in there, and then lock it, slide it underneath the driver's seat or the passenger seat or into the console or whatever, someplace that can fit a paperback book, really, and then just boogie out of the car.
I'm looking at a thing on Cabela's website because I was there anyway, but they have $30 little bulldog cases that they either have the little cable like you hook a laptop to secure it in your car, or they have one that has a bracket mounting that it basically locks itself inside the bracket that you can mount underneath your seat. Then you have to unlock it. You could slide the whole thing out and get it out. So, I mean, just there's options.
Lots of options. But, so Nathan, you're up.
The answer is no. I do not have any lockable way to put it in my car, but I'm looking at these things and I think I might very well soon have a video on it.
All right. We'll go to Scotty here, and then we'll ask back up near strong guy than me. But Scotty, you're up.
About what?
You have like a little safe lock box in your car for your vehicle?
No, I keep the barrel of the gun in there, and I just take it into work with me. I assemble it. In Indiana, you can drop off a child at school in the mornings as long as you don't actually get out of the vehicle. That's the caveat. You can't get out of your vehicle. So as soon as I leave the parking lot, I get a stop sign, reassemble the firearm, and I'm good to go. So, and then I keep the gun in two pieces. Well, one piece is outside, and then inside I keep the frame in one spot and the magazine in another.
So you can't have the gun assembled and even on the parking lot?
I can, but I don't need to assemble it in front of my child before I take him to school. So
that's what I'm saying. Why even disassemble it in the first place? Just keep it.
There's a police officer in the parking lot, so we're cool.
Okay. All right, Stone Guy.
I'm not worried about something happening in the parking lot because there's already an officer of the law, sitting there 30 feet away from me. Yeah, he's fine. I'm not worried at that point. He's going to get into that school before I do anyway. I'm pretty slow.
Stone Guy.
No, I don't. If I have to store my gun, I just stick it under the seat.
All right. No, I will answer this, and then we'll hear from Rob. I do. Because sometimes I have to go in the post office, and you can't carry into the post office, which is fucking lame to begin with. But, and pardon my language there, but I just
can't even park at the post office with the gun.
Nope. Actually, that law has been changed. Yeah. You can actually do that now because Colorado set the precedent on that.
I thought that the way that the post office one is worded, it says unless you can't walk in here unless you're authorized to have a gun, and having a CCW makes you authorized now.
I don't know.
Maybe they changed
I was told in my training that the post office off limits, even though it's stupid as it is, they don't understand why you're not allowed to even go to the post office when you got a gun in your car at all. That was a ways back though. I don't know if it's changed. Maybe Nathan can chime in on that.
Yeah, but the little thing I have, and I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail, but it's a little clamshell box that is a combo lock, and it's, cable locked underneath my seat. I can slide it in. There's enough cable room I can slide it in and actually put it on top of the seat and put my gun in there and then slide it back underneath. Not a problem, and they cost $30 or less, so it's an option. It's one step more that if somebody breaks in your car, well, you're in that place where you can't have a gun, where they're going to have to be able to break the combo or break the lock or be able to cut the cable or whatever it is to keep them from your gun. So it's another step. You've taken and done what you can while carrying a gun, and you've done to what you can. Nothing's perfect, but there you go. And for those that don't, I would definitely suggest you look into it because it's, again, that one step.
I think for a while, contracts for the military, and when you do that, you cannot. You can't have anything on you. You can get away with it. Like some people always kid around the office, like, "Oh, well, they say you can't have one." Oh, wink, 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 and like, yeah, wait till you get popped by a fucking MP when they decide to do a check on your car.
Yeah, I mean, if you are in the military or have to work on a military base, we wouldn't suggest taking firearms in. But for the vast majority of people out there that like in Texas, you can keep a gun in your car without any type of licensing. You can just keep a loaded pistol in your car. If you can buy a pistol in Texas, you can keep one loaded in your car as long as it's concealed.
But you cannot exit the vehicle with that car.
I know, but think about how many guns are in glove boxes and center consoles that are not contained, that somebody just has to, every car that breaks in, you probably got a 1 in 5 chance of getting away with a gun if you're robbing a car.
And we're the people that are conscientious enough to give a darn about even the concept of a locking box. Think of how many people buy a gun and don't even bother to care what the law is, and they just buy it and put it in their glove box because that's what they see on TV or whatever.
Mm-hmm. That's why I want to strongly. That's why I was bringing this up, because those that don't, look into it. $20, $30, you can get one. Gives you a little extra peace of mind.
What peace of mind is it if they're just going to steal the whole box versus the gun?
Because here's the peace of mind: you get some kid who's doing it on a dare, or some initiation thing, or just a kid who's mad at his parents and he's trying to get attention. A kid who's not a bad guy, who's just doing a bad thing, and he's in there to steal your toll change or your sunglasses, or who knows what a kid might think he's going to steal. Do we have CDs in cars anymore? I don't know. But then all of a sudden he sees a gun sitting underneath the driver's seat, just sitting there, or maybe in a sock or something. Or else he sees this thing that's just a black thing that's heavy and it's connected to the undercarriage of the seat. And unless he's brought wire cutters with him, unless he's a criminal intent on cutting something, he's probably not taking that thing.
And I can't tell you how many people.
Because a stone guy, it's just not a box that you slide underneath your seat. It's connected. There are a whole bunch of different ones.
Okay.
It's connected with
you can get some that are mounted too if you want, and you can easily mount it to your inside of a console or into your trunk or glove box, and then we haven't even talked about all the holsters that are connected to the center consoles. You could connect one of these things just as easily.
Well, and like for instance, me, I have my little gun that's my pocket carry that I'll take in and have to have in my car. But then I always have a spare gun in my car in case I forget it or not carrying it. I have a spare gun that I keep in my car, and I probably should put the spare gun in a safe just because I never use it, but it's always a backup in the car. Put it in the safe. I was going to
touch on that before we left. The little subject to these things is you can keep one of these things in your trunk with like a little Kel-Tec or something in there, or High Point. And then you've always got a firearm if you want to. Even if you just go, hey, I've got to kill 3 hours and there's a shooting range across the street. Luckily, I've got a little gun in the trunk. Or, shit hits the fan and I got to arm the friend I'm with.
Yeah, I got a spare. Well, see, like I have the reason I carry it. One of the main reasons is that I have that little itty bitty 9mm car, and then I keep just one of my spare bigger Glock 45s in case of an emergency, where I have to get home. I like having the larger, higher capacity firepower of being able to grab that spare Glock than my little 9mm car. It's just a lot more bullets and a lot more power.
Put one of these up underneath somewhere in the trunk where, you took you an hour and a half to get a thing installed and another, 5 minutes worth of awkward reaching around to get the key in there. And that's very little chance somebody's going to find that rooting through your car.
Yep, and they're, a lot of these sets are designed to kind of blend in. It's got a black cable, so it's, if you got any kind of, most of the metal work underneath the car is black, so it's going to blend right in.
Now this here at SHOT Show, we saw some guy selling kind of like that little purse that Edge bought, did a video on. That material,
purse.
Instead of shaped like a Glock, it's shaped like a Kleenex container. And I think the concept is you put your safe, like what I'm showing in my picture right now, you put that closed safe into the bottom of this thing that's made out of that material, but on the top of it is a Kleenex container. There's Kleenexes coming out of it.
Just
sit on your back seat or something, and
hold on,
criminal's going to steal your tissues.
I have a quick question for everyone, and it can be quick, right, if Quark's okay with it.
No.
Who here parks their car in their garage?
Nobody.
Yes.
I don't know where the chauffeur puts it. Come on.
Okay.
That's a quick yes. I have a garage, so I keep my car in the garage.
Yes.
Yeah, but a lot of people I know don't park their car in the garage and have a gun in it, and anyone can come along in the night, put their hammer to the window and get the gun.
Biker Bob, a good example of this. He just keeps his car out in the yard or truck out in the driveway, and what happens? Somebody comes in and breaks the window and steals $5 worth of loonies from his ashtray or whatever it is, and takes off.
Hold on, I want to go back to what G-Web said. G-Web's
a loony's $1 coin in Canada.
That Kleenex you're talking about, I saw that. It's the same company that makes this case.
Okay, so yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, they had the one look like also like a flare, like a roadside device.
Yep, one of them says road equipment or something, or road safety, and then one of them says, one of them said CDs. That's the one I didn't get, because I'm like, I think the kids are going to steal a thing of CDs way faster than they're even going to steal a gun. Some of you might go, I don't want to get into that kind of trouble stealing a gun, but I'll take your CDs.
Well, they had a day planner also. I was going to buy a day planner.
Day planner, same thing. Like,
$15.
Like, let's make it attractive. Let's make it look like a thing of beer.
Well, the day planner, I was going to buy that one for the Glock 26, so that's kind of cool. I told myself, hey, go get Daddy's day planner. Code.
So that's the same company that makes the tissue box and stuff?
Yeah.
I kind of thought the Road Flare one and the tissue box were kind of clever. Because, again, how many moms and stuff have a tissue box in the car? And who knows, it just kind of, when you look at it, it looks sort of like something you'd make to not fall around, slip around in your car.
It's Velcro, like you'll put a real tissue box under it, and it's Velcro attached to a base that has the gun and maybe some magazines in the base.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah,
it's
like $30
or something.
All right.
Looks like Stone Guy.
Yeah, Rob, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up?
All right. Do you keep your gun? Well, we're gonna make this really short. Do you keep your guns locked up at home?
Locked up at home, except for what I'm carrying. Yes, in the car. I never carry a gun in the car. It's always on my person. And if I ever, like maybe the one time a year where I go somewhere where I have to lock the gun in the car, I just throw it in the glove box. I'm in and out of the courthouse, got my new tag, and I'm done. Literally nowhere else do I go that I don't carry.
Cool, you actually answered all the questions pretty damn fast. So I'm glad you did.
Registered as a child of a sex offender, and then you're in and out.
All right, and Geobs, you want to talk about something else now? Like funky ways to hide a gun?
Slicks.
Oh, you mean like with the shelves and the mirrors and that kind of thing?
Yeah.
No, I could kind of consider those to be safes. It's just they're not physical safes. It's still a way of securing your firearm.
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know it just depends on where you draw the line. I mean, they're obviously not secure, but they're also, hidden. So.
Incognito is kind of just, if,
Well,
if they're
I
in
don't have a whole lot
disguise.
of information on this because I don't do that really. So, kind of interested in this top.
I know people that do it. I think it's a great idea.
So I was hoping you'd be back before we talked about this, but we definitely can talk about this, and you have to watch it later. But do you guys do that? Do you want to leave this as an open, or do you want to go left or right on this, G-Webs?
I don't know. It's your chat. I just thought it had something to do with storing guns.
Are you talking about like the hide? What is it? What's the wall safe with the mirror that Tac Daddy just installed? And I think
there's at least 3 different mirror options that are really popular lately. I can think of, and then I saw these shelves that just a regular shelf with kind of a fancy trim around it. It looks like a thick shelf, and then it uses magnets to let it open. There's always been the medicine cabinet type of stuff that is like a picture frame, except that it's kind of like the concept of a medicine cabinet, so that it's flush against the wall, or like a wall safe. Your guns are hidden behind it. I've seen clocks that open up and hold guns.
I mean, that's
There's even
really
an
cool.
iPad, or what do you call it, like where you plug a iPhone down onto a speakers, or like a clock radio. I've seen one like that opens up and has a gun in it.
Some people like a badass coffee table that has like all these little slots in it and shit too.
Yeah, there's like a lazy boy type of chair where there's like a compartment next to the lever. So that you can have
I love that idea.
Firearm out like that.
I want a lazy boy chair that when I pull the handle and extend it, I just have guns that pop up along with my footrest, then rotate.
Definitely an item for your man cave.
That would be the lazy boy turret.
That's right.
All right. Anybody else has any input on this subject? 'Cause I'm finding it all interesting. I never really looked into it.
I'm guessing it's unique ways to conceal or keep your gun safe in the home or vehicle.
Yeah.
Is that really storage?
Own a Harley?
Hey, we already know all Yankees' answers, so.
No, I can tell you where
made
to hide it
videos
on a
about
Harley.
this, so I don't have to ask Yankee all these weird questions, but
I figured out I can keep my car CM9. I can actually fit it in the battery compartment of my motorcycle if I wanted to store it there for some reason. I was just playing around with that today when I was doing the oil change.
Yeah, for those of you that might be interested or know somebody who has a Harley, most Harley gas tanks are actually not one tank. It's actually 2 tanks side by side, and it's somewhat common amongst certain organizations that they will take the little trim between the 2 halves, pop that trim out, and put a little leather pouch in there, and put a single stack down there in the pouch, pop the trim back in.
That's it.
People also store drugs. I don't know. You just got me thinking like Hell's Angels and the shit. That's all I've heard about them.
I'm thinking about Easy Rider.
Well, actually, this
I guess.
Or the cash.
this actually is from one of those types of organizations.
all right. GWebs has a room here. I put in the reason why I'm turning.
Do we want to run Yankee through the questions real quick?
How much time we got?
Well, we all know Yankee
Sure.
has the cold carry gene, so he doesn't need to answer that.
We started out with safes. Yankees definitely got opinions on safes for sure. What did we do? We went safes. If we have them, we know he does. And then
We know he has
Do you lock up
gun safe in
do you
his
lock
car.
up your guns and why do you do that?
Yeah, why do you lock your
the
gun?
We know he
secondary
has a
safe.
wall
Have we
mount
had-
safe, a secondary wall mount safe.
Oh, he does talk about that? Okay.
And
Yeah,
then
I made a
where's he
video on
stores ammo and guns.
Oh, do you lock up your ammo? Have we asked you that one before, Yankee?
Well, I mean, I can if there's a little padlock on the side of the doors, but 90% of the time I don't, because I never have a gun they can get to. So
I'd say we jump into another one because I think we've all. I mean, unless somebody who listens to Yankee for the first time, this isn't all brand new stuff for us. I threw some other stuff in here that was topics that we haven't touched on before. We kind of were just talking about Dana was giving us his biker way of hiding a Shiv or a Saturday Night Special and a Harley. But then what about like RVs, boats, four-wheelers, other type of secondary vehicles? Does anybody have those that they carry with, and how do they store on those?
I don't have any.
I can't go left or right because I don't have cork screen.
Yeah, I don't have any like gear. I'll just say it. I don't have any extra like fun vehicles like that.
I don't have any cool extra stuff.
Well, Geobs, I'm listening here, and I can comment. I'm just eating because of low blood sugar, but one do left to right, that's Yankee, then you.
I don't have any.
Yankee all of a sudden get top billing. Alphabetically, I'm way ahead of.
I don't have any four-wheelers, or I'm not a one-percenter. I don't have a lot of recreational vehicles.
Well, I think it's probably going to be the case
because just selling one of your firearms, I'm sure.
Well, that's the thing. We spend most of our discretionary income on guns. Most of us have multiple firearms where we don't have.
And I've never understood that. It's like I'll look at my cousins who make a third of the money we make, and they're driving a $35,000 truck, have two four-wheelers and a snowmobile. I'm like, how do you do that? I can't afford that, and I make 3 times as much money as you.
Long credit card payments.
They spend every dime they make on payments, I guess.
So when you rode a motorcycle, did you carry? And if you did, how did you carry it?
What's that?
When you had a motorcycle.
Oh, I mean, I usually have a motorcycle. I just don't have one now because I was told, if you're going to be a father, you can't have a motorcycle.
Right.
When I carried on a motorcycle, I have a big fanny pack that has a double clasp clip that I carried. I carried in that.
Okay. I mean, I also have a Goldwing at the moment, but in the front fairing pocket, is also a place, both left and right.
My old CB360 used to have a perfect little compartment right above the, right by the battery compartment, right behind the battery compartment behind the engine, where you could just pop it open. It used to be like, it was like for a tool kit, and you could just stick it in a perfect place to put one. Of course, you had to pop the side plate off to get to it, but.
Whenever we would go fishing, we'd just make sure to put them in whatever floatable, like something that would hold air. So even if it wouldn't hold the weight of the firearm, at least it wouldn't hopefully go all the way to the bottom of the bed of the lake or whatever, so we could still get it out. Never dropped one, but always tried to be sure to keep a firearm in, something with some buoyancy. They should make something with like life preserver material in it that you can keep a rifle in, like a floating sling. Do they make something like that?
Those guys and those guys that hunt alligators, they're always with their 22s.
Alligators.
Or
I've got it for you. I've never seen or heard of this, but a company could attempt to make a stock of a really buoyant material.
Swamp people, what do we call them? Swamp people show.
Alligators.
Actually,
there's
I think
that one, the
the Henry.
AR-7 that has the Henry AR-7 has a floating stock. Now you mentioned that.
Yep, well, I bought some.
It's pretty big, and that's an aluminum gun with an aluminum barrel, and its stock is pretty big. So I assume for a real size rifle, it would be pretty huge.
Rifle.
Right.
Yeah, I bought a friend of mine that for Christmas, and he loves that little thing. He's like, that thing is so awesome for a little survival rifle. I always thought they were kind of cheesy, but he thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I don't know.
Okay, this is going. Yeah, this is going back to the storage here, and pardon my full mouth here. I'm trying to talk with some food in it still.
We always assume there's food in your mouth when you talk.
I'm gonna say how rude.
Hey, that's what happens when you're diabetic and you get low blood sugar. You gotta eat. I hate that. When you store your guns, do you lube and oil them for storage? And this will go left or right with the G-Web since Yankee's on the phone.
Ever since as a kid, you'd have those like oil rags, so I can't put a thing back into the safe without like the last thing to touch it would be the oil rag. In other words, yeah, I wipe all my fingerprints and stuff kind of thing off it, so you don't get any of the oils on the gun. But they're not all stored like for deep storage, where I take them apart and make sure everything's perfectly clean.
All right. What about for long storage?
Then yeah, take them out every once in a while, clean them up. Kind of spoiled living in Arizona. We don't have to worry about rust like some of you.
And you clean your guns, use these. And then once it's clean and wiped down, put it back. That way you're not leaving oils from your fingers on it.
And by the way, he's showing latex gloves from all his prostate exams.
Those aren't all.
Yankee's just cheap. You can use that 5 times. You know what I mean?
I get these free, so why not have them around?
That is very true. Now, did you hear the question?
What was the question?
Do you do any special lube oiling for storage?
For storage?
Right.
Not really. I've found it's detrimental to leave too much lube on a gun for storage. It's best to
What?
oil them. You leave too much oil on a gun, you're attracting particulates, you're causing pitting. That's one of the number one leading things to pitting on a gun is storing it with too much lube on it. So, I mean, believe me, all the Smith & Wessons I've had that have had pitting on them from people, it's where they've stored them with too much lube on them. Particulates have settled in that lube, and it's caused the barrels to pit. You're supposed to wipe your guns down, put a thin layer on them, wipe them down good, store them, and then...
What about a muslin?
Unless you're going to soak them to the point where stuff can't get to them, you know, like dipping them in Cosmoline or something. But storing wet can be just as bad as for your guns as storing dry. It can be worse, actually, if you're, in a dry climate especially. It's like those socks that they sell you to put guns in. A friend of mine's a gunsmith, and he's like, I've peeled so many fucking ruined guns out of those socks that they sell you that have the stuff in them.
Well, they're good for what they are, but they're not. If you get water on them, then yeah, they basically trap a horrible environment in there.
Yeah, they just make it. The way he put it is, those socks are like creating your own little swamp to store your gun inside your gun safe.
No, I use the socks to separate the couple of rifles, like the 1022 and my K31, so they don't bang around next to each other.
You ever put a bra on the front of your car?
Nope. But I remember back in the 80s, that was like a real popular thing.
Have you ever seen a car that gets one of those taken off of it, and you think when you're going to take it off, you think it's like, well, the paint underneath? The paint's going to be worn, but then you take the bra off, and the paint underneath is like almost gone from it. That's about what those socks do to your guns.
Since Yankee answered and pretty much ruined what I was going to say, let's keep going on the left to right. Do you do that same thing, Edge? I know you got collector pieces.
Well, no, I mean I oil everything, but I don't like soak them. You know, I just use my finger. As when I'm lubing, I'll put the little spots on there as I'm in the parts that are obviously rubbing against each other from the slide. You know, even on the luger, and just rub it on my finger as I'm doing it at the end, just to kind of get them to coat in there. But I don't keep anything real wet. It's just adequate.
Best thing to do is if you're going to store them long term, keep them away from air, moisture, and sunlight.
Well, the problem that we have here is a lot of humidity. Not a lot of humidity, but we have a good deal of humidity. It's not like Florida or anything, but we get a decent amount of humidity here in the summer.
I found that the goldenrods work wonders in my safes. I mean, I live in Oregon. It doesn't get much wetter than Oregon and Washington. I mean, Seattle or Portland, two of the wettest places in the country. And I found the goldenrods in my safe, keep the inside of my safe dry as a bone.
Well, do we need to discuss this topic? Since Yankee has pretty much probably ruined everybody's answer, because they're probably all going to change it if they had a different answer.
No, everybody can disagree.
Since when?
I mean, I do keep decadistant packets or whatever. I have those ones that are rechargeable, all up and down the gun safe, and in my ammo cans too. If you want to be interested in that, but you can put them. I actually got a good tip from another YouTuber. It says, like you're in the summer, and especially here in Texas, this fucking garage gets hot, and you can bake bread in this shit in the summer. Just throw them in your damn garage, and when you leave, and they'll recharge them. Because you're supposedly those ones from Stack On or whatever brand it is, you have to put them in the oven for 10 hours. I mean, can you imagine how much energy you're going to use by putting your oven on for 10 hours? I don't know to what degrees, but that's, I'd rather just use nature to do it and store them in their garage, let them bake in the garage, and they'll recharge themselves.
Are you talking about the silica things?
Yeah, the
Silica pouches,
the ones that come in that packet, they have a little marker on them, tells you how bad they're getting and when to remove them and replace them. They have the option where you put them like in a low heat in the oven, but I think I remember the instructions like 10 hours, to recharge them. I was like, yeah, I gotta put them in the oven for 10 hours. I'll just put them in the garage and leave them there for a couple of days, and they should recharge themselves to where they're completely dry again. And you use them again.
All right, that one was.
I've got a slightly different take on it, but a lot of you are probably going to disagree to part of my answer.
Okay, go for it.
Well, there's been, I'm not what you would call a gun collector. I've had really expensive and nice firearms that I've been so meticulous about in the past, and I find myself not shooting them hardly at all because I am so meticulous of them. And most of the guns like that, I end up getting rid of at some point or another. What I mainly try to keep is what I would consider more of a working gun type of thing, which is I keep it clean enough to be functional. For most of my guns, there's still a few that I'm really touchy about, but I keep them clean enough to be functional, and then there's some guns I just keep around for the sake of fucking having it. Like, I've got a shotgun I've had for 2.5 years. It's sitting in a little metal lockbox in my closet. Oh, sorry. Anyway, got one that's in my closet, or it's in a lockbox in the closet that I've had for a while, and I think I've cleaned it once the entire time I've owned it. So.
And by the way, who said watch your mouth?
Did you say own it or bone it?
That was.
Hayden was getting on him for his language.
Oh, I was kidding. Okay, I thought so. I was 100%.
I thought I heard bone it, or you said owned it, right?
Sorry about that. I didn't realize there was children within earshot.
Well, way worse.
Yeah, he's heard way, way worse.
He watched me install a dimmer switch one day, so he's heard way. Three-way dimmer switches are my arch nemesis, so he's heard way. Because every time I install one, I'm like, okay, there's like 4 different ways to wire this, so we'll always wire it the wrong 3 ways first.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Did we cover the insurance and everything yet?
We've talked about it in general, but we haven't mentioned it.
Yeah, but not as a...
We talked about the videoing and the writing down of your firearm information.
But the importance of insurance and why we should have it, or why you have insurance and why you don't have insurance if you don't have insurance. So that's going to be the question. Do you have insurance? And if you do, why do you? Do you have anything? If you do, why do you have what you have in insurance? Because there are riders, there's umbrella, whatever you have there. But if you don't have insurance, why don't you have insurance? So we're going with Stone Guy.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I was muted. I do have an umbrella policy that encompasses all that sort of stuff.
Why do you think it's important?
Oh, because I have a substantial investment in my firearms. I don't want to be whole again if I have a loss.
Because shit's expensive, guys.
Yep.
Exactly. I just wanted to get that out in the very first answer so we don't have to answer this again. Scotty.
Yeah, I have a $20,000 rider on my homeowner's insurance, just because I can't replace them. But I don't have 20 grand to go out and buy new ones, if I had any. I'm gonna say sorry.
Yeah. Well, we can discuss too the differences after we're done with this between riders and umbrella, because
Ow.
Somebody's got a rider, somebody's got an umbrella. Rob.
Okay. Oh, my turn.
Yep.
Sorry about
Yes,
that.
sir.
Okay, I just muted myself right as you said my name. Well, as far as just for the guns, no. It's more of like I guess what you would say.
Damn it, Nathan bailed on me. Dano.
Yes, I do have insurance, and the reason I have it is since I do not have a safe and I want to secure myself against a financial loss. That is the reason I have it. But as I mentioned before, I do not have small children. I do not have small children running around the house or teenagers running around the house. And for 9 months out of the year, I do live by myself. People in the house that I do not trust.
Yep. I'm going to say this. You're the perfect target of that stupid gun safety ad that's been running here almost every hour on the hour. I'm getting sick and tired of hearing it on the radio. But, Edge.
What's up?
Insurance.
Yep, I have a rider policy with my insurance company, pretty awesome insurance company. And why do I have it? Because, for the most part, if something does happen, house burns down, somebody breaks in and actually steals all my guns, I can get them replaced with the exception of, probably one of them that is unique. But I have that one covered enough that I should be able to replace it with a similar model, but it won't have that heirloom or sentimental value for sure that I have in it right now. But it's a great thing to have because you just don't know, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I'll go on this once we get done, and why I brought this topic up here. Is Joe's back yet? No. Yankee.
What was the question again?
Insurance.
Yes, I have insurance.
Yeah, like you have an umbrella. I know you mentioned this.
My umbrella doesn't cover my property. Umbrella covers your liability. My homeowners covers my property, and I have a rider for $50,000 on my gun collection on my homeowners.
Very good.
Is 50 going to cover your gun collection? That's
But definitely be a nice,
like 50.
Be a nice chunk to start over with. That's for sure. There'd be some guns I may not be able to replace, and they would be expensive if I had to. Like replacing my Python is going to be hard. Replacing my Magnum carry would be hard. But most of them I can just go buy right off the shelf again at MSRP, so that's not too bad for retail.
And I'm glad Yankee brought this up because there is definitely a difference between umbrella and rider. A lot of people think they're the same.
Yeah, well, your umbrella covers more your liability, where your rider covers your property.
Yeah, and there is a reason I brought this up, and I did kind of say this during what Daniel said, and there's been an ad for gun storage safety running here locally. I don't know if it's a national campaign or a local campaign, but they've been running this ad where they start off with this, this kid, and his friend are over at the house, and they find a gun, and then they skip to this girl who has been being bullied and finds a gun, and then they go to this robber who breaks into your house and finds a gun, and they go into this whole spiel, and they go into saying why gun safety is important, because this kid shoots his cousin in the head by accident. This girl commits suicide, and the thief takes that gun and robs a business the next day. That's why gun safety is important, and
so
I know it's a little bit off topic what we're going on here with insurance, but the way they make this sound on the radio is that because you didn't have your guns properly locked up, that they're coming after you.
That you're the cause of the crime.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. You're the cause of
In
the
modern
crime.
liberal America, everyone's problem is your fault.
Now,
Yes.
I will say that if you leave your guns on the coffee table, unlocked, loaded, cocked, and ready to go, and a criminal breaks into your house and steals your guns, you are in no way responsible for anything that criminal does with that gun, because it is not your fault that someone else chose to violate your privacy and violate the sanctity of your home and steal from you. That's not your fault. You shouldn't have to foresee that, and you shouldn't have to live your life in a way to prevent someone from violating you. That's a violation of you. However, if you have children in your home or something like that, and they get hold of your guns and they kill themselves or kill a friend, that's on you.
That is exactly it. Well, that's the one thing that's been bugging me.
Way of America these days. It's everyone else's fault except for your own. No one accepts personal responsibility anymore, including the criminals.
Right. You're responsible for that criminal breaking into your house. You're responsible for that criminal taking your firearm and going committing another crime.
Well, this is just like the criminals that sue the businesses that they broke into because they got hurt while breaking into the property. It's bullshit. They shouldn't have been breaking in the first damn place.
My great uncle lost his pawn shop because these people kept breaking into the basement of his pawn shop and robbing him blind, and they could never catch them. And they kept coming in through these back windows. He put bars on the windows. They just started taking the bar. They would just come and disassemble the bars and break into the place. So he wired a car battery to the metal frame of the window one night, shocked the fuck out of one of them, and he ended up getting sued by the guy, lost his business because of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's why this kind of ties into insurance as well, is because if they're playing this ad and they decide to come after you because your gun got stolen out of your house, and they, in civil court, they find against you, you've got this insurance covering you. That's why I think umbrellas are important.
Yeah, umbrellas, and I also carry insurance in case I ever have to use my gun.
Yep. It's another reason. That's why I brought this whole thing up. And that commercial drives me freaking crazy. Every time I hear it, I start screaming at it that you're not responsible for the criminal. And it kind of irks me a little bit, too, that they're using this girl that's being bullied. Well, first, female suicide is normally not done by firearm. They find other ways to commit suicide.
Exactly. They hang themselves.
Yeah.
Actually, no, men hang themselves more, but women do other shit. That's right.
Men typically use violent methods, where women usually use like passive or poisoning.
Like slit wrist.
We don't have to go down that rabbit hole. We don't want to.
Right. But those are the two that drove me crazy. Yes, I agree with the first part that kid should never accidentally shot his friend in the head. That should never happen. But the other two, or especially the criminal, is what was really pissing me off. So with that said, is Gio's back? Dude. I figured next. I was going to ask him where he wanted to go next. We did the record-keeping storage. Ah, yeah. Here's one I forgot.
Oh, we didn't get into that one you brought up earlier, but we didn't go in detail about alarm systems.
Well, it's not really part of this gun storage, but as I said, it was an important part, is having an alarm system on your house.
Was it gun security or gun storage? Because
gun storage.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not gun security; it's gun storage, and some of the stuff happens to be not really deal with that topic, but it's important and it needs to be brought up. But what I was going to bring up here is traveling with your firearm storage. It's very important. This will be an open discussion because not everybody here has taken their guns with them when they travel, but we'll leave this up to an open discussion.
Why the hell not?
Well,
sorry, I just had to say it.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody's going to Hawaii for the week and they can't take their firearms, stuff like that. Somebody specifically going on a trip, what do you find like the best way to store the gun? Any advice you can give people that are think about traveling the gun, ways to do it, how to do it, especially through the airport. Very important.
I
there.
find up my bum. I'm just kidding. No.
As I said, this is not a left-right. This is an open discussion, and I'm sure people have got opinions on this. Or at least Gio thought so when he put this in the internal.
What happened?
Well,
we're talking about traveling with your firearms.
If nobody wants to kick it off, I'll get started. I don't travel.
I was just on the phone with DB, who's traveling with his firearms from the tactical response class. He was mostly crying because he did so poorly.
That's funny.
It is an important topic, especially for those that haven't traveled with through state lines with a firearm. What do you need to do? Stuff like that. And I have no clue on this. I can tell you I'm taking my gun to the range, but other than that,
I'd recommend learning the laws of everywhere you're going to be traveling through first, so that you're not really jacked up legally. And me personally, I don't go anywhere that will not or that does not have a reciprocity and reciprocation agreement with my state for my permit. And I've thought about getting some out-of-state permits, but I just haven't really branched into that thus far, and I don't travel a whole lot other than Georgia and Tennessee anyway, which Tennessee honors my Georgia permit, so I'm good. Oh, yeah, and I don't fly.
And also travel storage. Well, how do you travel?
Loaded on my hip or in my pocket.
Hey, what if you want to take a rifle? Can't do that with a rifle.
I was going to say loaded in the trunk. Maybe in the back seat even.
Stone Guy recently traveled to the great state of Alabama and got a suntan. Stone Guy, you there? I guess Stone Guy fell asleep on us. But anybody else, you got any suggestions, tips, do's and don'ts?
Do carry. It's worth it. And do bring it with you. It's totally worth it. Airlines are pretty much used to it. The little thing that you have to put it in to carry it in the airplane is you're going to have with you in the hotel and then in the rental car. So it's not like you're even bringing extra stuff. You can totally secure it no matter where you're at or what your situation is. And definitely you want to check those laws because they do change also. You want to check them right before you travel each time. I usually recommend taking that the traveler's guide, and then as long as you've got that with you and you're obeying the laws in it, you've done some amount of due diligence. You're trying to, you've researched the laws and you're obeying them as of January of that year. And if a law changed since then, at least you're doing your best to obey the laws.
That is good. It especially comes important, especially when you're driving. When you're crossing state lines. I know the airport's pretty straightforward. I mean, all that information's there. But a lot of people get confused on traveling.
To me, the most important thing to know when you travel with a gun is the same thing when you carry on a daily basis. Cover your bases, know your laws, and don't act like an idiot. If you don't act like an idiot, you're probably never going to be confronted with even the need to know the law, because you're not going to be confronted by the law, period. Because it's not like we're out looking for trouble. And it's not like we're out broadcasting and we have a firearm. So just watch yourself. Like I said, don't act like a dumbass.
Very good points there, Yankee. Anybody else got anything on this?
Get a Utah permit.
That still doesn't cover you everywhere.
As far as the safes that are in hotel rooms, I wouldn't trust those. They can see all kinds of YouTube videos where they, can get into those in no time.
Well, those are easy to get into. And I just lost one I was going to bring up since nobody else has anything. Where was that? Storage laws. Does your state have any specific storage laws? Or of states that have storage laws?
I think my state has rules about storage. I'm not sure. I know we have a thing, but because of something, we have a where we don't charge sales tax on gun safes. Anything that's gun storage related, it's tax free. So Like when I went and bought this gun safe, it was like $1,000 and there's no tax on it.
Around here, there's no laws as far as storage that I'm aware of, except for, don't just leave it laying out in the street. So.
Yeah, there's no storage laws here.
Don't leave it laying in the street.
Check a few. I got to go take care of something.
Leave my guns laying in the street if I want to.
Well, this is something we did not
I
bring
left
up.
the gun laying in a street once inadvertently.
Oh, yeah, I remember that story.
I thought that was your wife's fault.
It is.
You're always supposed to blame your wife. You're never supposed to say you did it.
Well, no, she's the one who took my black case, threw it on the hood of my car between where the windshield wipers are. I drove off to the gym, and as I'm driving back from the gym, I'm like, what's that black case doing in the street? That looks like what I keep my gun in. And I was like, holy crap, it is.
Okay, who was the little girl that just giggled?
Shut up. You don't know me.
I picture him covering his mouth with his hands when he did that.
Yeah, I was picturing Chris.
Cover my mouth with my hands.
Oh, I don't know.
This goes to storage. The cost.
Your wife laughed,
A little girl doesn't mean I am a little girl.
No,
I think I have
unfortunately
one of those
not.
pictures here somewhere.
What, you mean you're married to an Asian woman that doesn't do the little, ooh, I don't know.
Let me
No,
find.
she's too Americanized.
If I was married to an Asian woman, I'd be a much happier man.
Is that true, Nathan?
That's a great theory, buddy.
Yeah.
Here we go.
If you were married to an Asian woman, I would.
There you go.
Gay.
Is this what you're thinking about?
Dano, that's what
Yep.
he's thinking about.
Yeah.
My wife is so German that Angela Merkel goes, damn.
You need to put a caption on that picture. Oh, I don't know.
All right, your thoughts on
I'm a second generation Asian lover, I'm just saying.
trigger locks or gun locks? Just your opinion of good, bad, just your general opinion.
Trigger locks?
Yeah, like the ones you get with that are mandatory with every gun sale.
You mean just like those ones you stick through the action? Those big cable lock things?
Well, some actually come with trigger
That'd be a
locks.
gun
Like
lock.
cars come with a really cheap thing.
Oh, you mean the ones that go like actually in the trigger guard that can have like
Yeah, some gun companies actually give trigger guard locks. Some give cable locks. Here, just your thoughts and opinions on them, and we'll start with the main man here, Yankee.
Well, they're great for long-term storage, I guess, and if you don't want kids getting into them, but I would never store a gun that I might need that way.
And pretty much wraps it up.
Yeah, because Gio's put this in here. I didn't know exactly what he meant by that,
No,
but
trigger guards are horrible. Number one, trigger locks specifically can definitely, most kids can figure out how to, just in the act of fiddling with them, can pull triggers. Most of the time you just rotate them and they become a cam and you can use them to pull triggers. There's a few of them that are very overly complicated that, well, a couple of the ones that are super complicated are easy to pull the trigger on, but very few of them can actually hold their like location in space around the trigger guard so that the trigger doesn't get pulled, which isn't a big deal if you don't keep it loaded, but too many people depend on something like that. I think they're more dangerous than they are worthwhile. Cable lock, totally different. I think those are super useful, and I'm almost happy that a lot of companies use that when they sell them, because you can use that to actually store your gun. Again, while traveling, if you put one of those long cable locks, which the shackle is made out of flexible cable and it's usually longer, like a bike lock, you can put that right through the action. Pull the slide back on an automatic, and put the cable lock down through the open chamber, through the open magazine well, and then wrap the cable like around a pipe underneath the sink in the hotel, or a curtain rod, or underneath the seat of your car, and then lock it. And now it's not only disabled, but it's also locked in a place where it's hard to grab or find. But even on a revolver, you can do something like that to physically attach it to some place that would, not let somebody steal it.
all right, Edge, your opinions.
You're an asshole. Thank you for asking. Now, trigger locks. When I first started getting into it, I first got the Master Lock one, a little key one. Then I bought the one like Gio has had a picture of with the Winchester ones with a little screw deal. Looks like a weird key to use them, but I don't use them. It may be in transporting a gun or something like that, or in an odd situation, but other than that, I really don't care for them. Or there's other ways. I mean, I think realistically, if you're keeping keeping your shit in check, you don't really need them.
Dano, or should I say Stone Guy and Fidelis?
Well, let's just see. The trigger lock ones are about as useful as a panty liner, and the ones with the cable, though, are actually pretty good.
I want to know, how do you know how useful panty liners are? Are you using them?
Well, there's not a whole lot of absorbency, and from what these two guys tell me, they don't provide a whole lot of soaking up after the fact.
Well, I'll tell you, the cable lock ones. I mean, there's these guys that make these videos, and they don't do them to be like dickheads or douches or anything. They do it to show you how secure you are, and they go through locks and different stuff, and they show you how to defeat them. They have like classes and seminars how to defeat stuff, and they went through those gun locks, the wire cable ones that you get with almost any gun, and they showed them how to use like I think it was soda can, piece of aluminum, how to pop them and manipulate them like that. And any kid, all the kids today that wear glued to the internet probably figure out how to bypass that real quick. I think they were really good before all this information came out.
Before the age of the interwebs and YouTubes. All right, Nathan.
In the past, I've used things like trigger locks with combos on them. Never had one of the key ones, but I had one like the combo on it. Still have that one. Had one that was called the jacket that kind of clamshell folded over the gun to keep it, and I didn't really reuse that very much. I ended up giving it to my neighbor so he'd have something. But no, I got a ton of those little, locks that come with the guns. I got like a pile of them somewhere to use for other things. But no, I pretty much either keep it in a safe or, keep it where it's easily accessible or whatnot. But I'm not really big on the trigger locks or the other locks just because the accessibility is limited. And, they were speaking about long-term storage. I mean, my long-term storage is in the safe.
Urge.
What?
Long-term storage.
Sturge? What?
Urge.
Yeah. Well, what about you, Scotty?
I've used trigger locks in the past. I think once you get past like 3 or 4 firearms, just get a cheap safe, and then you're better off. Once you get past maybe 8 or 10 firearms, get a damn good safe. Because a trigger guard ain't that great, but it does keep the firing pin from touching the primer. So I mean, it is effective to a point. I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it does what it's intended to do. So, but I mean, once you get a certain number of firearms, just get a cheap, snap-on cheap sheet metal safe, and if you get more than maybe 6 or 8, go get a good safe.
That's actually my last question there. I'm gonna save it for last year, but we're just coming up because this is the second to last question I have for tonight. But Stone Guy, who has fallen asleep. So I'm gonna say that I don't like them. Personally, I mean, I can find them effective for a very short period of time, but you haven't seen this video yet, and it's coming out. But I was just curious how strong these, cable locks really were. And it took 3 hits of my Warhammer, and I took it inside because I didn't break it open quite. But all I had to do was pry a teeny little piece of plastic off, and the lock's open. And that's, you don't even need freaking bolt cutters. I mean, a hammer, you can get into these locks pretty damn quickly.
But it is a Warhammer.
It is a Warhammer, but I'm just saying with just a regular, 16-ounce framing hammer, you can get one of these locks pretty damn quick.
Well, I don't think these locks are ever intended for somebody to use tools against them. They're intended to keep somebody with their hand strength from being able to get access to them.
More of a safety rather than an anti-theft device, I would think.
Exactly.
They're intended against
Sure.
children getting them and shooting themselves with it.
Yeah, what I'm getting here, they're not a deterrent. A thief steals a gun with a cable lock on it. Well, if they don't have, a pair of bolt cutters to go through that cable, they can use the next best thing and use a hammer.
All right, good. They don't even have a pair of bolts.
It's kind of like I used to have one of those old sheet metal stack-on safes before I got my big one, and the point of the stack-on safe is somebody goes, "Oh, you think that'll keep people from stealing them?" And I said, "No, it's to keep my kids away from getting them." And they go, "Well, wouldn't it keep someone from stealing it?" I go, "Well, the stack-on safe in my garage, I keep a 3-foot crowbar leaned against it because that just happens to be where the crowbar is. Like, anyone with any brain could pick it up and go, kink,
Yep.
and be in it."
This is going to be the last question for tonight, so at least on this topic. And it's very important because it hasn't been discussed. Cost of gun storage,
Oh, can I just see my thing there before we leave off?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Joe. What you have?
I just want to say, because we're talking about gun locks, I think they're horrible for lots and lots of reasons, but mainly because they're legislated to exist. Mandatory. So the reason that they're so cheap, like you were saying, that they can come apart, is because they're, they don't want to reduce the quality of the firearm, and they don't want to raise the price, so they get the cheapest possible lock they can possibly get. But they're bad in lots of other reasons. The fact that we ever gave into them just drives me nuts. We as gun owners gave into that. It drives me nuts because, one, it lets parents get off by saying it's the guns that are bad or the gun owners that are bad, because that's what they're really saying, because the guns themselves have to be locked, because I'm not going to take responsibility for training my own child to stay away from a hot stove or a moving car or a moving bus. Oh, wait, they do teach them to stay away from all those other dangerous things, but they don't want to take the responsibility to tell them to stay away from firearms. Instead, the government, society, whatever, puts the responsibility on us as gun owners to keep our dangerous guns safe from children. That's bullshit. It's the children that should be getting trained to stay away from our dangerous guns, or any dangerous gun that they might see, or any dangerous item they might see. But it also tells them, when we allowed them to let us put gun locks on our guns, it also, in my opinion, makes us marginalized. Like, if we're all bad, and like the thing that's keeping our angry selves away from using our murderous weapons to kill each other every time we get mad is the fact that some, angel from government told us we had to keep a gun on there, or a lock on our trigger. It's just ridiculous to think that by putting a lock on something that it's somehow going to stop us from just using this thing, on our whims to kill each other, which is what they believe. And I think that by letting into that in the first place, it was almost given into that, or letting them feel satisfied that they, saved us somehow, or somehow bettered society with that horrible step in no direction, a thing that we all know realistically does nothing, but it was like a emotional victory for them, or whatever they call that, like a victory for them, even though it really wasn't a victory for anybody.
I'm going to agree and disagree with G-Webs partially. I agree that this should not be anything legislative, and there's no reason to think that, like he's saying, that, if we don't make them do the right thing, they won't do the right thing. But I will disagree slightly. I'll put on my psychology hat here and say, since that is my degree, you can't train a small child to not make mistakes. So don't trust your child to not make a mistake. Do take precautions if you have children in the house.
Oh, right. And I'm not suggesting that you leave guns laying around and it's the kid's fault. I'm just saying that if we give them the status, say, oh, yeah, you're right, we better keep guns locked up because they're the dangerous thing in society.
But Yankee, that's also why small children should not be left alone.
Well, they don't mandate that you put those little plugs on your electric outlets. We don't mandate that you put locks on your poisons. Those are all important things that a smart parent would do, but there's not laws about them like there is with fire.
Because the parent's supposed to be watching that small child 24/7 so they don't drink the poison.
It's not even just small children. It's children, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. Test after test after test proves even the most well-trained children, like they took those children of, trained NRA instructors, took them out on the playground and then buried rifles in the dirt, and all the little kids played with them. The crickets, and everything. pointed them at each other, played games with them, everything, even though they were the children of NRA instructors who knew better. Children make mistakes. Don't trust a child's life to your own ego.
That's completely correct. Children are children. When I take my son to a gun shop, I've been fitting him for a rifle, and an SR, a Ruger 1022 is too long for him at this point. But I call it an AR-22 with the adjustable stock is correct for him, and I've been fitting him, trying to get the right size for him. Trying to keep his finger off the trigger, it's impossible. He's 7 years old. He doesn't. At 7 years old, they don't know. Keep your finger off the trigger. No matter how much I've worked with him on that, keeping the finger off the trigger of a firearm, there's nothing that's going to keep that from happening. And no matter how much you work with them, you just have to know that they are still children at certain ages, and they can't be completely trusted the way that an adult is.
Which is why the parent, who should be able to be trusted, should be watching 24/7.
You
can't.
And again, nobody's suggesting that kids and firearms should just, the guns should be buried in the sand on playgrounds. But what I'm saying is that we don't scorn all car owners because they don't put extra locks on their car doors when they have kids. We don't scorn anyone who owns a sharp knife, that they don't put rubber warning labels. Don't stab your people with this knife on their sharp knives. But it's guns, again, guns are so bad that they're the individual villain in the home. They need to have an extra layer of protection. You can't just be a civilized.
But I can also see that, if a kid picks up a knife, chances are he's not going to hurt himself with it. If a kid picks up a gun, the chances are greater that he's going to hurt himself or someone else with it. They're not equal potential deadliness. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not. So what? I didn't say either one of them was. I didn't even go near that. I said that we don't scorn knife owners by saying that you need to do special warnings. You have to go beyond and above, and there's laws that make it so that every time you buy a knife, it has to have an extra safety warning because you as a knife owner can't be trusted around children. Yeah. And that's what they're saying with the gun owner stuff. That's all I was saying, is that I think that it was a loss on our end to allow them to say that guns are so dangerous that they need this extra thing, or that gun owners are so irresponsible that every time someone buys a gun, they have to have this extra warning.
It's just that
a few things that get that.
New parents are irresponsible, and that's where a lot of it comes from. Irresponsible parents.
Yeah.
Quick had a good one for how much we're willing to spend on security, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's how much are you willing to spend? I mean, how much does it influence your purchase? Because you can, I was going to say this out loud, or say this up front, excuse me. Because some safes, you can buy 2 or 3 guns for the cost of that safe. So how much does that influence you?
I think, who brought it up earlier? When you have so many by this level, when you have so many more by this level? Scotty. So that was a good way of doing it, I think, because that's how most people progress into it naturally. I think one of the best things I've seen to make kind of a self-realization thing is just go add up your guns. We've already talked about having a list for insurance. As soon as you look at that list and your safe is like, a portion, a fraction of a % of what you're actually putting in it, I mean, are you going to spend $500 to protect, $20,000 worth of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, is that sheet, that sheet metal cabinet they use to lock up your guns? You got, $10,000 worth of guns in there. You paid $100 for that safe.
Yeah, isn't it worth a couple extra bucks to make sure that $10,000 worth of stuff is going to be there when you get home?
Yep, I mean, if you get your insurance, it's still that better option.
So what would be a viable option for $2,000 worth of guns?
It comes down to you. You got to look what you need for storage.
That can be a tough one. I mean, that could be a gun. That could literally be a rifle, right? That could be a fancy AR.
That could be 5 guns.
25 normal handguns, inexpensive handguns. I mean, that could be a lot of guns.
Yeah, that could be a whole shitload of Jennings.
I just think there's a lot of people that fit in that lower category that don't necessarily have a large number of guns. They have either one really nice gun or a few handguns?
You know the solution to
That's
that.
why they have so many different types of security systems.
Well, the answer to that is buy more guns.
Yeah, just buy
Well, that's
more
really
guns.
the only
That's
rational
it.
answer. Exactly. Then you're obligated to buy a fancier safe.
Yeah. You bought that $800 safe, and you're only keeping $100 worth of guns. Well, $100 gun in there. Well,
Yeah.
fill it up.
You know, the kind like the big box, the safes you can buy at the big box stores are well under $1,000. They barely get up to $500 because they're making them fairly inexpensively. So if you're dealing with, let's just say 5 or 6 guns, around that price point you're talking about, Dano, then you're paying a couple of $100 to secure that. That's probably worth it because again, you're not filling it. You don't need the whole capacity of it. So that means you can put, your stamp collection or stuff that you might put in a social security box or whatever. So you might, or what do they call those things? The box at the bank.
And the blue line.
Safe deposit box.
It's
Safe
Pokemon
deposit
cards.
box.
Deposit box.
Before you go on Knox on
But
it,
since
Not-
Thimble Line got in here at the very end of this chat, he doesn't get
I'm
a
sorry,
word.
I was out.
He's just
I
running.
thought you
the
had it
after
blocked
chat.
at 13 and under.
I do, but he's running the after chat, so everybody knows. That's what
No,
Really?
I'm not running
Because
an
I was
after
doing the
chat.
after chat, so I didn't realize that he was.
Yeah, G-Wins is
working.
going
How
on.
does that blue line keep?
Oh, Jobs, you were actually running an after chat?
He
Well,
makes
I didn't do it
I mean-
before because nobody ever shows up to the ones before, so I thought
I
I'd do
can
it.
run an after chat. I just won't be there the whole time. I'll just leave my computer.
No, you're fucked. Bye.
Not too late. Geob said he's going to run it, so
All
you're
right, fine with me.
You have full seniority on you. He's running it.
It's fine with me. I wasn't gonna run it, and then Cork suggested, and I was like, well, I'll just leave my computer running.
Now, if he's going to do
It's
that,
insubordinate for him to keep insisting on running one, even though I said it was wrong.
Well, Tino, you also seem to be going behind the back door every time in regards to these things.
I just said, if you guys need someone to run an
I've heard
after
that he
chat,
does
over,
sit
let
on
me
the back
know.
door in
And,
regards to.
It's
I
not
just
like I'm
want
doing
to
sexual
say
favors
this
for them.
in closing. Safes are important. Keeping your guns safe are important. And I want to thank everybody for watching. Everybody that came out here and contributed, except Thimble Line, who didn't contribute.
And Sub Edge's
I
channel.
told you I was out. Jeez.
Edge, you don't count. You're just sausage fingers on a screen.
It's better than a sausage body, like a freaking sausage cinderfillage. Look!
And those that want to be able to rewatch this later that may have missed part of this, in a day or two this will be up on my main account. So just wait for it then. You'll be able to see it. And if GeoWebs deems this appropriate enough, you may even make it into a podcast. Thanks everybody again, and thanks for watching. And GeoWebs is running the after chat.